February is Black History Month, and that's a perfect time to launch a new series of reports from our staff on Oklahoma's Black frontier towns. Just 13 of them remain, and throughout this year we'll profile at least one of them each month to give you a better perspective on their past, present, and future, and why they're such a vital and rich part of Oklahoma's history. This week we begin with my report on the remarkable town of Rentiesville, located in McIntosh County, about 20 miles south of Muskogee.
$18, please. You doing okay today?
I'm fine. How are you?
Oh, better not complain.
Every year for the last 32 years, this tiny town in McIntosh County swells in size to accommodate an international gathering of blues enthusiasts.
Hello, Rentiesville! Everyone's ready for the 32nd day 2 of the Dust to Dawn Blues Festival.
Everyone is having a good time. It's joyful. It fills your soul. It's not just the music, but the music is the core, because people come and they meet new people that they wouldn't have met, that may live down the street from them, but they haven't met. People from other regions, other countries.
Welcome!
Selby Minner and her late husband D.C. Minner created this festival back in 1991.
My husband, he was born on this place in 1935, and he was a blues guy all the way.
With D.C. on guitar and vocals and Selby on bass, they hit the road playing a dozen years of one-night stands.
We got back home and it was like, maybe if we take the walls out of the house and build a bathroom and a stage and a bar, maybe people will drive to see us after 12 years on the road.
They built it, and lo and behold, people did come. And along the way, Selby added the Oklahoma Blues Hall of Fame.
Whirling Dervish, I'd say that. Whirling Dervish. This woman has a magnificent amount of knowledge in her brain. She's got the record of what happened for 32 years. There's a room of the museum here that tells all the musicians from Oklahoma and where they have, who they played with and where they played across the country and in the whole world.
So just how legit is this brainchild of Selby and D.C. Minner? Well, according to National Geographic, it was listed as one of the 10 best blues festivals in the world. It's authentic. Listen.
These towns are important for many reasons, and there's only 13 of them really functional 100 years later, and it's an important legacy of accomplishment and pride and family and working toward a better future, and I'm very pleased to be part of that.
This old knee is just a cracking and whatever.
In 1991, April of 1991, I was elected and I've been in office since then.
Mildred Burkhalter has been a big part of it for the last 31 years, a 7-term mayor who is running for an 8th in April to complete what she calls unfinished business.
A grocery store, maybe a Dollar General store, that have been on my back burner for years. We would like a gift shop. We would like our post office back here in Rentiesville. Those are some of the goals.
The current population is about 130. Don't let that old sign out by the highway fool you. Sanford Nero is one of them.
I'm living now probably about half a mile from where I was born. And I was raised about 3/4 of a mile from where I was born, so I've got a small little circle there.
Nero did leave Rentiesville for a few years when he joined the military, but he came back, bought some land across the street from Selby Minner's Blues Club, and has lived happily ever after.
In a sense, the little towns have been forgotten, more or less. You know, the people there, they're survivors, and they enjoy their way of life. I think Rentiesville is one of the best kept secrets around. It would make it convenient if it didn't have to go 5 miles to get a gallon of milk, you know. But I kind of like the way it is.
Rentiesville was founded in 1902 and incorporated 1 year later.
Rentiesville was named after William Rentie because he had no children at the time, known children at the time, and they wanted his legacy to live on. It was actually started by leaders that came from, the South, saw a need to develop
the community and the town for, you know, black citizens because of segregation and so forth. So it was like having your own little utopia.
My name is Herbert Hoover Jones.
Named after a president, I'm assuming.
Yes.
How old are you, Herbert?
I'm 90 right now.
Herbert was born in Rentiesville in 1931 and, like Sanford Nero, has served his country in the military. 8 years in the Army and 3 more in the reserves. He spent the majority of his working life in Wichita, Kansas.
I couldn't live in the city. It was just too much violence and too much going on. Gang members and all that. It was just too much going on.
And so, at the age of 62, he took early retirement and returned to Rentiesville for good.
When I retired, I had a place to come to.
That place is 5 or 6 acres within walking distance of the music he loves.
Blues told a story. It really did. It told the way people feel and how they felt and what they was going to do and what they wanted to do, you know. It just told you a life story.
Long before the drum fills, the sound of cannon fire filled the air. Here, less than a quarter of a mile from the festival grounds. It was here that the Blues and the Grays met on the battlefield, in a battle that was unlike any other in the history of the Civil War.
Fire! Secure the peace!
On July 17, 1863, the Battle of Honey Springs was fought. And it doesn't often happen that history changes one day, one place. In this case, it did. And at the end of the day, history was changed. And thereafter, the control of Indian Territory was with the Union.
Dr. Bob Blackburn was instrumental in getting the Honey Springs Battlefield Visitor Center built and opened last November. The interactive exhibits inside tell the story of a bloody conflict between the Union and Confederate forces.
The Union Army had about 4,000 troops, the Confederates about 8,000. And the majority of all of the troopers were Indians, split pretty evenly on each side. Cherokees fighting Cherokees, Muskogees, Creeks fighting each other.
And fighting right beside them on the Union side, black soldiers from the 1st Kansas Colored Regiment.
There was more than just a victory on their mind. It was not just about states' rights. It was not even about fighting slavery. It was about their very freedom. If they had been caught that day on the field of battle, they would have been executed as runaway slaves. They were fighting for their very existence.
Here they come, boys! Hold the line! Fire!
And fight they did, with ferocity and bravery, and eventually, success.
So they sacrificed so much just to serve to gain their freedom, family members' freedom, but ultimately to save, American democracy, to save this country, this perfect, more perfect union. As we understand how this battle was pivotal in terms of the Union Army winning the Civil War, was pivotal in turning the nation's attention in favor of black soldiers. And we know that there were 180,000 black soldiers that fought in the Civil War.
When the Civil War ended, the 5 tribes were forced to sign the infamous Treaty of 1865, a treaty that eventually led to the creation of Oklahoma's all-black communities.
Well, after the war, the 5 civilized tribes were forced to treat their former slaves and their descendants as citizens. They were going to get land at the time of allotment. And when they got the land, that meant they could break the cycle of poverty. They could start building wealth, and they could raise their families and prosper in the Indian Territory.
13 years after the town's birth in 1902, its most famous citizen was born, John Hope Franklin.
An American hero who became a historian, the first African-American PhD from Harvard, who wrote a book, From Slavery to Freedom, that captures this experience and the struggle they've had ever since they've been here.
76 years after Franklin's birth, Rentiesville's second most famous citizen, D.C. Minner, and his wife Selby debuted the inaugural Dusk Till Dawn Blues Festival. And the rest is small-town music history at its finest.
I believe that the Blues Festival has kept Rentiesville on the map as well, because when you mention the Blues Festival and where it's located, everybody, yes, I know that place, so it's been wonders for Rentiesville. You know, it was like once the door has been shut on us, but now it's being opened again. People are becoming more aware of the existence of the all-black towns. You know, we just want to stay vitalized, keep the history going, you know, because there's a lot of rich history, you know, within these little small black towns, how they were.
Our tour of Oklahoma's historic black towns will resume in March with a report on Langston, Oklahoma, presented by a Langston University graduate, Taylor Jackson.